Robert, how are you going to get started on this bike?
So first, we're going to remove the front and rear wheels, followed by tank and seat, followed by controls and front fork, swing arm and rear shocks. At that point, most of this stuff will be out of the way, so we'll be able to remove the bolts that attach the engine to the frame, lift the frame off of the engine, and leave the engine sitting here on the engine stand. So let's get started. What do we need to remove the front and rear axle? Well, looks like we've got a hole in one side of the axle here. We can use a screwdriver to keep that from spinning. And then this nut on the other side, what size do you think that is?
Maybe 17 millimeter?
Let's take a look. Nope. Try again. 19. Take this, take that. Take this guy on the other side there. I'll hold this part and go ahead and spin that off. Okay, so you have that washer. Now we're going to pull out this axle, so go ahead and grab the wheel and any other related hardware that may be attached to it. And be careful when you set that down because we've got the brake hub here loose and floating. Let's go ahead and pull it off and see what we got inside. And there is no money or candy in there, so that's a bit of a disappointment. But that's okay, we can always get it. Keeping these components together, we're going to put the axle back through there, and that nut and washer that we took off is going to go on there, and then we're going to set this aside and move on to the rear. Okay, you want to hold that and I'll spin this side?
Sure.
Different about the front and the rear. We've got our nut and washer just like the same. Then we have these little eyelet pieces that are threaded. This is how we adjust the chain, if there was a chain on here for the tension. So now go ahead and pull that axle out. I've got the rear wheel. Put that screwdriver back in there and use it to pull. Okay, hold on a second. Let me grab. Go ahead and use that screwdriver to pull. Pull that axle straight out.
Jesus.
I don't think he's here to help us. He's never here. There you go, you got it. Pull.
Got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Jesus.
Okay, hold on. Got it? Just pull straight out. Don't twist, just pull. Okay, hold on. Yeah.
There it
Go, don't twist, just pull. Because you've got the bearings in there.
goes. Woo.
Okay. So we've got a spacer on this side. Brake assembly again. No candy or money.
Nope.
So now spacer, axle, push. Okay. Chain adjuster, washer, nut, and we can take this off the bench, put it off to the side, where we will dive into it more later. There you go. Stick these guys and put them off to the side. What's next? Seat and tank. Thankfully, we don't have any nuts on these bolts. Must be a racing weight reduction modification, so we can just pull those bolts on out and the seat should come right off. One. Two. Does that come off?
I think it's stuck in front there. There we go.
Cool.
Alright.
Put that guy off to the side. Tank. Looks like there is no hardware holding that on, so we can just lift that guy right on off.
Oh, that's good sound.
If your fuel tank sounds like a maraca or one of those Indian rain sticks, probably not a bad thing. Probably not a good thing either. We'll look into that later.
It's the Bondo.
It's probably the Bondo. Alright? What's next on this super intense disassembly?
Front end.
Front end. So let's start by getting these not so original bars off of there. Looks like we need a 12 or a 14 under there. There you go. I'll take the 12. And I will hold this for you. Probably not a factory torque spec.
It could be for some customers.
I think you should be able to spin that off with your finger.
And at the top.
Yep.
Alright.
Let's go and put those nuts and washers back on this assembly. And I'm guessing by the looks of this is all from a modern 50 or 70 or something. Thankfully we've got the, got it?
Yep.
We've got the original bars in the box over there, so we'll refurb those and get those back on the bike where they belong. Throttle cable here. Feels like the carburetor slide opens and closes just fine. Excellent sign. So now we want to get these front forks off. And we've got this large nut here. Any guesses on what size that is?
I can't see it, but.
What do you feel it as?
19 or something. Maybe 21.
30. Perfect.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So if you want to hold the forks, I can get this cracked loose. Ready?
I'm just gonna
Oh.
It's, I was gonna say, probably
Why
for this.
do we even use tools?
I don't know.
I know there should just be springs in there, no damping, so if it's leaking,
I don't
that's
know.
strange, but we'll figure that out. There's two more nuts up here that are
13?
14s. And again,
Which?
loose. These attach to the fork assembly, which is in your hand, so if this wants to drop and fall out, don't be alarmed. Plate comes off, this goes back in, push up on that, there you go. So these bolts up here actually hold this fork leg into this assembly, so go ahead and push up on the other one, perfect. Okay, you can let those go. This top plate here looks like, I gotta get a camera here. Kind of looks like somebody welded shut the original holes and re-drilled for the different bars that we've got on there. I'm not sure if this piece itself is from a 1972. We'll investigate, we'll cross-reference. If so, I should be able to weld those guys back up, re-drill the original holes, and get this part looking nice and good. There's a, not at the moment, because we're gonna, once we get the forks off, yeah, we'll put the assembly back together. And just based off the theme of this bike, this is also hand tight.
Yeah.
So there are potentially a shit ton of little balls in here. What?
The bearing or the balls fall out. There you go.
There you go. And wish it up.
Oh wow. There's some probably still attached up there. Okay.
So let's go ahead and carefully pick those off, and we will put them in a little bag or bin or container or something. Looking up in there.
A metal piece there.
Yep. Nice little magnet to stick those in. There are no others anywhere, so that's cool.
Okay.
Come on, sir. We're going to need to purchase some more of those. So let's take this fork assembly, and we're going to spin these guys back out and put that top clamp back on there. And this is going to go back on here as well, just so we keep everything together and these little component sub-assemblies for us to work on later. Okay. Oh, this washer too. Don't leave that. And then you get a little bag for the bolt bearings. Okay. Onto the rear. So let's take these shocks off. top and bottom. Go ahead and take those guys off of there.
Maybe they, what do they do loose? We'll find out.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh.
Yes, they are.
Wow. Scary. Everything's hand tight. Not even tight. It's just like to a certain point. Like, oh, yeah. They're not even. Wow.
This is why we check. Got it?
Yep.
Okay. Now as I take this one off, it's a through bolt.
Okay.
As I take this off, the swing on there will fall down out of the way. Upper comes out with a large through bolt. So we can then put these guys back together, the upper one on there.
Yeah. Alright, goes back on.
Okay. Those can go off to the side, and then let's see if this is tight. Oh wow, it is.
That's the only thing.
That's great. Okay, so we're going to need a wrench on the other side here, which is a 14, so we just need another ratchet.
Here, have French over
Yep. So why don't you go on the opposite side here? And we're undoing this guy here. I'm going to hold the nut on the back side here. Go ahead and spin that off. Okay. So now I'm going to see if this comes out nicely. Perhaps it needs a little convincing. Okay, that's not too bad actually. Can you pull it out? Okay, swing arm is off. Go ahead and put that bolt in this nut here, through there. Yep. Okay, so now let's see about taking this rear fender off, which is
Hand button.
tightened, sort of indicates that the bolt is all the way seated. This is more like it's kind of in there. Got it? Okay, there you go. I'll take that bolt and spin that back in the frame here. Okay, we need to undo,
Exhaust.
well,
Most
not even done.
not attached, so pretty much done right there.
This guy here, of course, is just loosening up my hand. This guy up here, looks like we could use some tools on it.
Do you want to get the exhaust here? With the,
Nope.
No?
Not yet. That's not what I need. Looks like we need another 14. and hold this guy right here. Yep. And then we can turn around a little bit more. Okay.
Ready to take it?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's that guy. And then the last one is this one right here, which is just spin it off. We will probably have to take off this timing cover to get to this thing. Let's see. Yep. This bolt right here is interfering with this timing cover. So we're going to pull off these three socket head cap Allen screws, pull this timing cover off, pull that bolt out, lift the frame off, and then I think we're done. Go ahead and move on to the next one.
No.
Maybe.
Run with it.
Can probably just use the bit and spin it out.
Yeah.
And the last one down. That actually looks pretty good in there. And that's kind of surprising. Cool. Since we have the side cover off, let's see if the thing even turns over. Oh yeah. Not being seized is a plus. What it looks like inside, I don't know. We'll find out. There's our frame, engine and exhaust, sitting on the stand. I think that's a wrap for teardown.
Yeah.
Now let's take a look at all the individual stuff.
I was looking at the engine, I noticed this little piece here where metal should be covering. So that could have been something like the chain rubbed on it or something of that nature. There's also a little bit of a metal flake right there. To be determined. If there's something going on in the engine, we'll have to look inside, see if there's more loose bolts or not. There's been some damage, but this cover will be replaced, so it's not that big of a deal. It's probably from someone riding it and having a great time on it. And that's pretty much all I've seen so far with the issues externally with the engine, so that's a good sign. Here's another addition to the engine issues. Looks like either someone ate shit and chewed up this piece, or they were trying to get it off and really didn't know how to take it off. I don't know, maybe they just didn't have the right tools. Key tip, get the right tools.